Ordon, Jeremy Cordeaux from Adelaide. How are you?
Oh, good, thanks.
I wanted to talk to you about your record collection, which I believe is huge.
Yes. I've been accumulating a lot of collections since 1991 when I first opened my shop up at Hornsby in Sydney. No, actually, it was at West Ryde in Sydney.
Yeah. And it's all vinyl, is it?
All vinyl. Mainly vinyl. I do have CDs as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, mainly for resale. But I do have a collection as well, but I do put things in and out of it all the time. You know, swap around all the time.
What's your most valuable record in your personal collection, which I understand is about 300,000 or 400,000?
No, that's not my record collection. That's stored away for sale. My collection.
Oh, that's your stock. Right.
Yeah, only a few thousand records in my collection.
What's the most valuable one?
I've got a Zimbabwe prog rock group.
A Zimbabwe pop-opera group?
Yeah, worth a couple of $1,000, but my copy's probably a little bit marked. I've got some South African funk. It's those really obscure countries which were very limited in pressings, and a lot of it was, you know, because there's been so much turmoil over there, a lot of things have been destroyed, haven't been saved. I've had a lot of collectible records in my collection where I've grown out of them. I've had the very first Severed Heads record, which is sort of a DIY. It's all silk screened, cover. It's a bit of artwork. Yeah. I have multiple copies of that. I sold. 20 years ago, they sold for several hundred US back then when the dollar was, nearly 2 to 1. So you can imagine what they're worth now. I've let go of a lot of, very rare records in the past simply because I wasn't playing or using them. I believe they should be someone who will enjoy them. Over the years, I have culled out a lot of high-end records out of my collection. I've just made sure that I still really enjoy listening to them.
Yeah. And you do find the time to listen to them.
I do. When I'm sorting, I especially mailing out items, I generally put a nice record on, or a record I've heard about, and I'd like to give it a go, give it a listen. It sort of might intrigue me, and I might have to give it 2 listens, and I say, I'm going to keep that.
I know your business is certainly all over Australia, but do you have people buying records from you from overseas?
I do have lots of overseas clients. Even before the internet, I had a lot of very, very famous DJs and producers used to come in. Yeah, they used to come to my shop at Hornsby. They were chauffeured out there. It was like a top secret back in those days about my shop. It was a big 2-story shop at Hornsby near the railway station, and they'd turn up. Sometimes they'd just give me a couple of hours' notice, and I'd let them upstairs to the rooms full of records and huge Australian catalogue. And I used to discover a lot of records which nobody knew about back then, or very few people knew about, and I knew they would use those particular records for sampling certain sounds, certain beats and certain sounds out of these particular records. I actually had a few compilations made up through my collection back then. However, a lot of those records I don't have anymore. Unfortunately, a lot of them are worth a lot of coin, but that's the way.
Are they? I guess in the record stores. How many stores have you got?
No, I've had 4 different locations over the years. West Ryde, but 1991 to 93. Then Hornsby, 2 shops at Hornsby from 1993 to 2004. Then 2004 to 2019, Earthconville. That was Discovery Records. Revolve prior to that. And I operate from home. I do big sales around Australia, including the place I love the most is Adelaide.
Well, you come to Adelaide because I've met you here before, haven't I?
Yeah, sure. You sure have. Back that was a few years ago, but I've got a really good sale established at Walkerville, the Walkerville RSL. It's quite iconic. Collectors, come out of the woodwork, and they just love seeing the effort I put into it and all the fresh material I bring. They're not looking at the same stock; it's different every time. So I have a big rotation. I mean, it's a home away from home. I love any excuse to come to Adelaide. I'm there.
Okay. Well, let me know when you're coming again.
Sure.
Because I'll certainly make mention of it on my Facebook posting and also the podcasting and this live streaming show. Because I think there's a huge revival, isn't there, for vinyl?
Oh, it's absolutely massive. There's a lot of kids getting into it. Some older people are sort of getting back into the swing of it, and people, in their sort of 40s and 50s and 60s who stuck to vinyl, just more passionate about it because everybody's passionate. It's like the new stamp revival of the 1970s, where every man and his dog were buying and swapping stamps. It's records are just on another level because you can actually enjoy the sound, and you've got the beautiful artwork as well. It's it all. Even CDs, they've got the original artwork, the way the artist intended to release it, and that's the way it was back in the the 80s and 90s when they really kicked off.
Even the liner notes, the people who write the liner notes on the back of the album, that's an art and a skill in itself.
Exactly. There's a story in the liner notes, whether it's from the artist or about the actual artwork, and go into all different types of tangents, which is very interesting.
Some of them can be absolutely, as you say, works of art and frameable. Why is it that I suspect that we can all remember the first record we ever bought?
I think most people do, because it was really exciting buying, purchasing your first record. You felt on top of the world. You had back in the in the 80s when I bought my first record in the very early 80s. It was a real thrill because records weren't cheap. Nowadays they sound expensive, but I believe they were a lot more expensive back then. But it was a real thrill to actually own a piece of vinyl. And that was sort of the end of me. When I got my first one, second, the third, and just kept on rolling from there.
What was the first record you bought?
I'm pretty sure it was David Bowie's Scary Monsters Super Creeps, and then Devo Whip the live album. I used to play him over and over and over again.
Yes, I used to wear out a few records as well. Tony Denton is with me. What was the first record you bought?
It would have been a 45.
Yeah.
I think it was $1.10 at the time.
Yeah.
It might have been a Michael Jackson or something, I think.
Michael Jackson. The first record, this is going to age me, but the first record I bought was obviously a 78, and it was Rosemary Clooney, George's aunt, or whatever. Rosemary Clooney singing Beautiful, Beautiful Brown Eyes. I'll bet you can't find that.
beautiful exists. On the
and it was a Baker line.
Oh my God!
Hang on a sec.
You want to hear it?
Oh yeah. Play a bit more of it. Hang on, John. We'll just hear a little bit of this for old time's sake.
Sure.
Beautiful brown eyes. Beautiful brown eyes. I never loved blue eyes again.
Oh dear.
Willie, I love you, my darling. I love you with all my heart.
They're waving their arms at me, John, telling me to turn it off. I just thought that was a lovely song, and I've loved that sort of music all my life. It sort of morphed into John Cash and Chris Christopherson and Leonard Cohen and stuff like that. But I don't know. I wish I still had that. But it was a Bakelite, not a vinyl.
You never know. They might, Crooner and Diva revival might. However, these days, very, very hard to sell. I generally donate that style of music, so hopefully someone sort of digs them out of an op shop or out of a recycle shop and keeps them alive.
Records were terribly important. You mentioned DJs and producers and things who used to come up to your shop. When I first got into radio, it was the time of John Laws and Bob Rogers, and those two were at war with each other, and the war was fought over who got the singles, the top-selling singles from America before, who got them first. And Bob Rogers always did, because he had a friend who was a airline steward with Qantas, or one of the airlines anyway, I imagine it was Qantas, and when he was over in America, he would listen to the radio and get the latest Bobby V or...
Came through a few weeks ago.
I think the wind is blowing in the wrong direction. I think we better leave it there, John. Thank you. But get back in touch with me. You got the number. Get back in touch with me if you're coming to town and need a bit of a plug.
That'll be terrific. Thanks for the interview, and we'll speak soon.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
John Ordon, ladies and gentlemen.